Well, this is my 2025 Triumph Daytona 660, and it's due for its first service. Not quite. We're just shy of about 500 miles. I've already had to tighten the chain on it once, but I'm going to change oil in it. And from what I've seen, no one online has a video on how to take these fairings off. And the manual gives you kind of like a brief description of it, but I figured while I figure it out, I'll at least video it. So maybe one of you guys out there doesn't have to try and struggle on this. You can just see, oh, hey, that's how that comes apart. Look how nice this is. When you buy a brand new Triumph, they give you this giant, beautiful binder, only to give you this little teeny handbook manual. Like they could have made it a little bit bigger. I'm going to go through, I'm going to do it how the manual says you're supposed to do it. So that way, if any of you guys are out there watching it and you want to do this, you can do it the proper way. Step one is going to be this little thing right here. There is a push in right here and a clip right there, and then this kind of latches underneath. So you kind of grab up here, give that a little tug, same thing here, slide this down, and it comes right out. So you can kind of see that little piece right there hooks in up underneath this. Then you got your clip there, pushes into there, then you got one up there. Next step is going to be up in here. There's a little push pin right here, which I can show you in better detail on this one right. Oh, focus. See that one right there? What you do with these is take yourself a little needle here, and you push the center down. It'll push through, and then that will release it. The lighting's not the greatest, but on this panel right there, grab down here at the bottom and pull up a little bit and slide back, and then that will release this whole thing right here. You can kind of see here what I'm talking about on these little things here. When they're in there, this is how they're holding things in. But to release them, you can just take something and push that through, and then that will release this, and you can pull it out. And then when you want to put it back in, you just reset this out, push it in there, and then pop that in. Next up, we got one Allen right down in here. We're just going to go ahead and take that out. And then the next step looks fun. I'm going to have to read the manual again because there is a ton of push clips now that are all over the front of this thing we got to try and get out. You got a fuse panel up in here underneath. Kind of a weird spot to put a fuse panel up here. It's kind of annoying. Like if you've ever got something that goes on down the road, like why wouldn't they just put them all underneath the seat? Like there's a bunch of them underneath it already. I don't know why they would locate one up at the front. That just seems kind of weird. So you got one way up here. You got, it looks like 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then this inner panel should come off. And for changing the oil, it only calls for taking the left side off. So pretty much all we got left is this push pin, these two, and then there's one way down over here on the outside. And then this whole thing should be free, I believe. All the Allens so far, too, have been a 5mm, so it's kind of nice they kept those the same size. Very tight at all. Of course, it is just plastic on plastic, so. When you put this back together, you don't need to over-torque any of these fairing bolts. Like, just get them snug. Just get them snugged up. Oh, it's very dirty underneath here, too. Got one more push pin right here. Pop that guy out. We got one more on the back side over here. Sorry for not really getting that on camera. That was kind of a pain. So I'm going to let you know on this, up here towards the front. Yes, let me see here. Let me look. Okay, so about here, and here are all kind of like press-in styles. And then down here in the middle, it's got like a little slot that locks up around this tab. So you kind of have to like pop the top and then rock it like this. Also, your turn signal wire is up in there, and this kind of wraps up around inside of here. So the whole thing is kind of like get it loose, pop your turn signal wire off, and then they give you enough slack, luckily, to get the whole thing off before you have to unplug it. But, dude, that was a lot. So just one more time. You've got push-ins up here, kind of pop these off, and then rock this like this, and then you can get up into here, get your turn signal wire loose, and then the whole thing kind of comes off, and then you can, yeah, take it off. That was... Why do they gotta make everything hidden on this thing? But anyway, there's your fairingless motor on this side. So let's get draining the oil. Before I start draining the oil, down here, this is an 8mm for your plug. Your oil filter's right here. However, I'm noticing, if you can kind of see here, they routed this O2 sensor wire, and it is resting on top of this oil filter. Like it's super, super tight right there. So again, I don't think there's enough slack really to move it and reposition anywhere else. It's up in this bracket. But Triumph, what the hell is that? Again, 8mm. Oh yeah, they got that sucker tight in there. Oh shit. We're making a mess. I don't know if that's just being it that it's breaking oil or whatnot, but that is kind of a weird color. It was like a greenish, milky color. I I don't know, man. Try and get that filter loose on this thing. And like I said, be careful of that O2 wire because that thing is super, super close. Oh boy. This is just like my last freaking Triumph. Dude, I don't know what the deal is with Triumph's oil filters, but god damn it, do they put these on tight. Ugh. Always get a new crush washer for these. Yeah, you can buy a whole pack of crush washers on Amazon for like an assortment kit for like $10. Like it's worth it. You'll have to buy one pack of them and you'll probably be set for most of your life. Dude, this oil is such a weird color. It's like a milky green. I don't know. Doesn't appear to have any water in it, so that's always a good sign. I have seen some complaints about Triumph's OEM filters of this ring here coming off, and on my last bike, it actually did. So my last bike, this ring here stuck to the case and didn't come with the oil filter, and I was like kind of in a quick hurry to change the oil. I went to throw the new filter on there, and it like wouldn't go on, and I was freaking out and couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, it was because this O-ring was stuck to the case. So the new O-ring on the oil filter, and this one, everything just wasn't jiving very good. So always keep an eye out for that. I didn't find really any information about this online. Yeah, it looks about the damn same. Yeah, it looks the same. Being the Daytona is so new, but it also has the same motor as the Trident. According to K&N, these filters will fit the Trident, and I'm assuming because they both are based off the 660 engine, that this filter will fit as well. So the part number for this K&N filter is, you can kind of see it's 204-1, and I like these because they have a little nut on the backside, so they're a lot easier to break loose. So you don't got to use these things, you can just use an actual wrench. But I'm going to throw a little bit of oil in this guy, and yeah. The manual doesn't really tell you exactly what oil to run. It tells you 1040 or 1050. You know, I had some of this Castrol Power 1 from the last bike, so I just ordered another case of this. And I mean, Triumph recommends this oil in a lot of their bikes. I'm guessing at some point they just lost the sponsorship for it. So yeah, I'm going to put a little bit in this. I'm not going to fill it up to the top because we are at an angle and it's probably going to lose some of it, but at least that way there'll be a little bit inside of it, and I can also oil up this ring on there. A little extra oil on that ring never hurts anything. On the drain plug down here, the manual calls for 18 foot-pounds of torque, so there's 18 for that. 80 foot-pounds? Whew. Dude, that filter calls for 80 foot-pounds. That seems a little absurd. 90 foot-pounds of torque is a lot on an oil filter. I mean, we'll get it snug, but especially now that we have the fact we can get a wrench on it, make things a lot easier. So the manual doesn't really tell you how much oil you need, but right here is your fill, and then down here, oddly enough, you can just barely see it down in there. It's a little dark, sorry. This bike has a dipstick. It doesn't have like a little sight glass, which the sight glasses were kind of nice. I liked that on the last bike, but when I looked it up, people were saying like 2.8 quarts to like 3. I don't know. So I'm just gonna, I'll throw 2 in there and check the dipstick and see what it looks like, and then just kind of keep going from there. At the full mark, so when this thing fires up and pumps that oil through the system, we will check it again, and hopefully we're right about in the middle. It's a good idea before you go to start it up for the first time. Just go back through, put your hands on everything that you monkeyed with. So, you know, we got those down there tight. We'll double check. We were oil filter. We torqued that. We torqued the drain plug in there. So I think we're ready to fire it up and see what it does. We'll let that run for a minute, and we'll shut it back off and check the oil level. Everything looks good. We don't have any warning codes going on. Unfortunately, you can't reset the service interval in the menu, but apparently if you order the OBD2 link, you can change that in the Tune ECU app, or you can go to the dealer and have them do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and check the oil level and see where we're at now. We're right back down to like the low mark. That's why you always start it and check it. It does need a little bit more. You guys like my little chair. So yeah, that was how to take the fairing off and change the oil in your Triumph Daytona 660. It's not really that difficult. It's a little tedious getting like the main part off. Again, working it over this, working it with all the push clips up top of here, definitely was a little on the tedious side. I mean, for the most part, putting it back together is kind of the same thing, just in reverse. So, I mean, kind of do with that what you will. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. I'm going to pause the recording and go ahead and put this thing back together. Like I said, it's just basically the reverse of what we did, taking it apart. Not the greatest at filming, obviously I know that, but if you guys have any more questions or concerns or comments, let me know and go ahead and hit that subscribe button and we'll do some more work on this thing.